Coming up on this episode, I review the Star Wars Legends Trilogy and Duology relating to Thrawn, notably the Heir to the Empire Trilogy and the Hand of Thrawn Duology.
A-D-N.
It's Headphones Neil!
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Headphones Neil Reviews. I'm your host, as always, Headphones Neil, bringing you my review for the Star Wars Legends Trilogy and Duology relating to Thrawn. So, the original Thrawn Trilogy and then the Hand of Thrawn Duology. So, I was in between reading the second and third books for the new Thrawn Trilogy in the Ascendancy series, and I wanted to go back and refresh my memory on the start of the Thrawn character, kind of refresh my memory with what was going on. My vague memory was that the Hand of Thrawn happened in the original trilogy of novels relating to him, but I guess we did have the follow-up novels with Spectre of the Past and Visions of the Future, where we learn about his contingency plan and his major information center and all of that. But the 5 books generally have an overarching look at the rebuilding efforts for the new Republic, and then the ultimate fall and peace treaty related to the Empire. So when we start with the Thrawn Trilogy, this is after Return of the Jedi, and we have the New Republic dealing with various threats and on unstable ground, and then having to now deal with a brand new threat from the Empire with Grand Admiral Thrawn showing up on the scene to take over the Empire's forces. I guess he wasn't very well known about, just because of the Empire's pro-human policies, but Thrawn made himself very well known with his battle tactics and his genius and all of that. So the Empire was basically on the verge of taking out the New Republic, but as with most things in the New Empire or the New Republic's luck, they were ultimately able to succeed because of some bodyguards that, I think that's a Bothawai or something like that, who were working for Thrawn by means of Thrawn using their prior relationship with the Empire and continuing to exploit that relationship to ensure that they were effective bodyguards working for the Empire instead of the New Republic. But with Leia's diplomacy and Han's usual way with words and stuff like that, they were able to convince the Bothawai that their relationship with Vader and the Emperor had expired since they were no longer alive and the Empire had been defeated. And as the daughter of Vader, she has more of a say to release them from the contract than Thrawn does. So overall, that was a good bit of back and forth in order to ultimately have that pay off and have them defeat Thrawn or kill off Thrawn for manipulating them. But this sets up the Hand of Thrawn duology because all of a sudden, about 10 years later, Thrawn shows back up again. Everyone in the New Republic is confused about what's going on. How did he come back? A few people saw him as dead, but then Lando and a few other smugglers see him, that he sounds like Thrawn, looks like Thrawn, and all of that. So they're trying to figure out what to make of that. The Empire is also trying to reclaim some of their worlds, but that's all paled in comparison to what the threat the New Republic is facing related to the Bothans and some events that happened during the time of the Empire where I guess select Bothans were exploited by the Empire to take out other factions, and those other factions now wanted retribution. So in general, that was all kind of set up in the original Thrawn trilogy, but it wasn't nearly as hashed out because of the issues with Thrawn and defeating him. But now that threat's gone, and people are now able to focus on this issue with the Bothans, so it now becomes a bigger issue because now kind of all those various rivalries are coming to a boil. So now everyone's trying to find this document called the C'baoth document that supposedly has the true events of what happened, because I guess there's been a lot of edits and manipulations made, especially by the Empire. So essentially they want the whole thing with the Bothans to explode, so the New Republic falls apart and it's easier for them to come together. So all in all, a very good set of events as far as what's happening, and the ultimate genius of Thrawn, because he did, in all of that time, he actually had built something called the Hand of Thrawn. People were originally thinking it might have been someone like Mara Jade, who was the Hand of the Emperor, but Thrawn created his own version of that in a person or something like that, but no one really knew. But as it turns out, the Hand of Thrawn was actually literally a big building structure looking like a hand, which acted as a minor like a turbo laser kind of encampment, but more of an information center to hold all the knowledge that he had gathered over the years, so that he could have one central place to pull information from, get that, and make his analysis and recommendations and things like that. So I actually kind of wanted another novel between, or in reading them now, between Spectre of the Past and Visions of the Future, where we explore the building of the Hand of Thrawn, or even like a prequel book before Spectre of the Past, where we explore the building of that structure and more references to it, and either have that tie out with, as a surprise thing at the end of Visions of the Future, that the clone of Thrawn comes to life and explains kind of the generic bad guy trope of explaining the purpose of building the Hand of Thrawn was that because people are unreliable, or because governments and places can change, or documents can be manipulated, that he wants his own place of information that he can call upon to pull on source documents, and then take it from there, where if he does need or he doesn't really rely on manipulation so much as, or internal manipulations, versus using other people to manipulate them based on information and analysis he's pulled on them. So one of those things where I think all of those novels really explore his genius very well, and actually works well now in retrospect with the new Thrawn Trilogy that was released in the Ascendancy series, that we see more of the background of that. So I have actually started reading the third novel in the Thrawn Ascendancy Trilogy. I think it's called Lesser Evil. So it's one of those things where the original Thrawn Trilogy and the Hand of Thrawn Trilogy, or Duology, kind of work to explore the applications of Thrawn's genius and tactical abilities in another format. So if you're a fan of Thrawn, Star Wars, the new Thrawn Trilogy, then definitely go back and give them a read. There is a lot of time spent with various smuggler factions, notably Talon Card, so I kind of want to read more on that. To the point where I do want to learn more about Card and his organization. So I didn't like that exploration with his. It was a quick overview, but of his quick rise as far as his boss and his ability to see or to think about it, his relationships with various other smuggler organizations. So maybe we'll see some of that in the Book of Boba Fett or in the next season of The Mandalorian, but I would like to see more of those characters explored in the Star Wars universe again, even if they do a retcon or reintroduce their backstories in some other format. But I would still kind of like to see more of his organization, and even potentially his relationship with Han Solo, that Wookiee bounty hunter guy from the Book of Boba Fett Episode 2, and things like that. But in general, the Thrawn novels explore his abilities very well, especially with Admiral Pellaeon, who I want to say was in The Rise of Skywalker. But I like that they continued his thread in all 5 books as well, because he was looking to create a piece that, or actually, sorry, the guy I was thinking about in Rise of Skywalker was General Pride, but the characters are pretty similar. So if you look at General Pride from the Rise of Skywalker, and then you read about Admiral Pellaeon, they're kind of along the same lines, but Pellaeon's more of a realist, where he sees that the Empire is on decline, but rather than fighting it out and ultimately destroying themselves or the New Republic, he's looking to create a treaty where they share information. They're not going to encroach on each other's planets, but planets that are under their current control and protection can leave to go to the other side if they so choose, and there's not going to be any bloodshed or further warfare to prevent people from going to go to living under the regime that they want to live under, or government that they want to live under, I guess is a better way of saying that. So overall, good novels. It explores the aftermath of the original trilogy events very well. It's kind of one of those things that's in between the original trilogy and the sequels, but it's one of those things also that if there is ultimately a new Star Wars trilogy of films, that they kind of explore some of this stuff where they don't necessarily have to deal with a lot of the Force and the Jedi and all of that, but because you have Luke Skywalker and Leia and Mara Jade as Jedi, that they can explore some of those characters in the Force, so show Luke's rise in how he went from a fledgling Jedi to Jedi Master or Grand Master, I guess. So kind of filling in some of those details instead of jumping straight from the end of the Empire and then automatically having the First Order. So all in all, good novels though. I like reading about Thrawn. He's probably one of my favorite characters in this time frame. I mean, we always want to default to having, Luke or Vader or the Emperor as a favorite character, but as far as non-Jedi or non-traditional characters go, Thrawn is definitely up there with his tactical genius, so definitely a character worth reading about, whether it's the original trilogy from the era of the Empire's trilogy, some of the other novels as well for his rise into the Empire, where he trains with, I think his name was Eli Vanto, to ultimately rise from just becoming an outcast from the Chiss to the Empire to becoming a Grand Admiral, and then how he's nearly able to take over the New Republic just by being such a good tactical genius. And this is without using the Force and just having the might of the Empire and their policies and procedures. So in general, things like that generally just work as well. So that's all there is for this particular episode. So if you have any questions, comment, feedback, do you have a good memory, bad memory of these novels? What did you like and dislike about them, or anything like that? You can comment on this post on Twitter at PatelN01. The website is headphonesneil.reviews for past episodes, subscription links, supporting the show, and all of that good stuff. And of course, if you're a patron of the show at patreon.com/PatelN01, after this episode, you'll get a nice little bonus update as far as some related content that I've been watching as well. So that's all there is for this particular review. Thanks for tuning in, and